Zion Spartan didn't know that Yorick was kind of like a free lane. Like if you pick Yorick, your lane probably won't lose. Like it's how it works. You can usually farm enough, and if you don't farm that well, or like you get out CS, you're still effective. Zion Spartan didn't know that. Like Zion Spartan is an amazing player. He's one of the best top laners in the game. I've heard people say he is the best top laner, but he just didn't have some of the knowledge. And what Atlanta brings is just years and years of information, having been playing this game for actually, he's a beta player too, I believe. Yeah, he's an early beta player. So, just the experience that will come with Team Dynamic because of Atlanta, it's going to be massive. He is actually going to be the father figure giving so much information to Team Dynamic in the end. And we do have Katarina being banned, aimed at Judy Monica, I believe. Yes, because he has 805 ranked games as Katarina in Season 2. A lot of Katarina games.
Yeah, I remember one of them played a lot of Katarina. But yeah, it was interesting when both Zion Spartan and Zig came over from Choppers, or I can't. What is it? They were Choppers. Choppa and Dakar. No, that was it. Choppa and Dakar. They were in Choppa and Dakar, and they looked really strong on the team. Zig has been one of the stronger AD carries in the game. He was one of those first people who was an early adopter of Urgot. When Urgot really wasn't played that much, he played him and was just absolutely dominating that bottom lane. And then Zion Spartan, like you said, played really well. He's the only person that I know that consistently plays Nidalee still, and he plays Nidalee all the time and just easily wins the top lane. I think that you look at Nidalee as a similar pick to that Yorick, as you were saying. Nidalee is like a free lane. It's just a lane that they know is going to be very safe, and then can split push and force a 4v4 matchup around the map for them.
So, something cool about Team Dynamic. IPL 4, their matchup against CLG, how did it go? They lost. They just kind of lost. Zig, he was a solid AD carry, but Zig and Pixel, they had the same problems Zion Spartan did. They just didn't have that much knowledge about the matchups. Like, I believe it was either Hotshot or Choster that ended up saying they're good, they just don't know enough. And as these months have progressed, Pixel and Zig, they've gotten better and better. And now they're actually, I'd say, one of the best duo lanes out there. They still have, everybody has a ways to go.
I remember at IPL 4 them yelling at each other, and they played like almost the same champions every single time. Before Zig had come onto the team, every single time you saw Graves and Janna, and that was all that Dynamic would ever play. And Pixel almost always played Janna because that was really one of the few champions that he could play at a high level. He wasn't comfortable with the other ones. So, I mean, that was a situation, but it was funny watching them as they were still doing well, like just playing really impressively, almost beating Dignitas, almost beating CLG. They were just yelling at each other constantly, like, why are we losing this lane?
And like, they're just getting better and, more organized as a team. And like, through the months, I don't know, it's weird watching them literally grow up because they're really young, and I make fun of them for that all the time. But also, they're just getting better as players and as a team. So, bans Zillion, Katarina, Rumble, Malphite, Shen, Alistar, all pretty standard. The Zillion, Katarina, Rumble, all aimed at various character or players.
Wow.
Troopers. The Zillion I'm actually not too sure about.
But have you seen Troopers picks yet?
That's a Pantheon Sona.
Yeah, that is a Pantheon Sona. So, I'm curious. I think, is Captain America their top lane? I can't remember.
Captain America is their top laner.
Isn't Nick Wu a jungler?
Was it an IPL match from Orbit where they ran a Pantheon and they were devastating?
Yes, that is true. And I have seen them run Pantheon in that top lane before. It's a really strong match or matchup. Here's the issue. They lost really badly in that game, actually, because Pantheon was able to put on some pressure early on and then left the lane, and it was against a Darius. And so he left the lane very early on, and as a result, Darius had like a 3-level advantage. So when Pantheon came back, he had zero chance of farming in that top lane. Like, it was just, there was no possibility for him to get up there because Darius would just kill him repeatedly. So he fell behind. He was able to put pressure on the bottom lane. That was where actually they used the Pantheon the most. They kept on ulting bottom lane with the Sona, and it was actually the same combo. They had Ezreal and Sona, which has really quick burst, single target burst. They have great harass in lane. They would have the Sona ultimate. Pantheon would ult on the bottom lane. They would try and pick up kills to snowball their AD.
It'd be really funny if Zion Spartan picked Darius, even though I don't think he plays him all that often. But that is kind of like, I'd say, a mistake teams will make, as they're still getting organized. Go to bot lane, gank it, build up an advantage there, but lose your top lane as a result because you roam too much. So there's always that potential for something like that to happen. And, it's finding that sweet balance between we're going to roam bot and kill you, and we're going to roam top and kill you. Annie being picked by Troopers, I I don't know about this. I do not know how Annie will do against Cassiopeia. I think Cassiopeia kind of has the same advantage, but Nivea has so much range poke, so much range damage. The advantage, I guess, is going to be the fact that her ultimate is fairly short-ranged.
Well, the big thing is you can tell from Chuuper's comp, they want to snowball this game very early on. And not just the aggression from Pantheon. We talked about that and how, he's trying to snowball the game, but also the Annie. They want to just be able to blow up fights very quickly in the game, get a massive early advantage, because they recognize Dynamic is an incredibly experienced team. Dynamic is one of the stronger late game teams that, you see usually. They win a lot of games in that early game with their aggression, but then they've started transitioning into the late game, which used to be a weakness of them. Now it's a strength. So Chuupers, they want to explode this game, push it out of control. Wow, actually, Akali, that would definitely be an interesting top lane.
Don't even acknowledge the Lux. It's Zig.
Well, no, Zig is,
Yeah.
I feel like Zig does Lux every single game. And
yes.
It's just, I don't know, there's absolutely no chance of it. But Urgot definitely makes sense if they want to go for it. Or actually, he has played a lot of Tristana in the past.
Just stop following him, man.
I'll
Paradox will pick up Yorick. I wonder if it's because I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, I would be surprised for them to actually play that. Wow. So
Okay.
the Yorick pick kind of surprises me, but there's a couple of reasons why it's a strong pick, and we'll both get into it. It's a safe pick. You don't have to worry about Pantheon, snowballing against Yorick. He's not going to be able to pick up those kills very easily. Yorick can go toe-to-toe with him. Yorick abuses a lot of bruisers in the top lane. So the big thing is they want a safe team that can get through that early game and not allow Troopers to snowball. But knowing that Troopers, probably a lot of their aggression is going to be towards the mid and bottom lane, I would kind of want someone who's going to snowball a little bit better in the top lane that can farm out of control. And Yorick's not necessarily that champion.
So sorry, I sent a message to Atlanta.
Dear God, studio, are you okay?
No.
Holy champ select Batman.
I sent a message to Atlanta asking him all right, Yorick pick on Zon Spartan. What's that gonna mean? And it's okay. So Zon Spartan's learned him. By that I mean he's played Yorick, and by that I mean he's typed Yorick into the search bar, which means he's learned him. I've asked Atlanta the difference between a good Yorick and a great Yorick. It's going to be a good Yorick can only find him with a search bar. A great Yorick can actually find Yorick on the list of champions.
Wait. Oh, sorry. I was very slow there. I liked it. But I'll give you the little clap there.
It's not really a joke, by the way. That's actually kind of the truth of Yorick.
I was sitting there. I was waiting for the profound thought. You were like, yeah, so the secret to playing a good Yorick and whatnot. I was like, oh, well, let me listen in. Let me take notes here. Got out my handy dandy notebook. I'll take some notes here. This is going to be perfect. And I don't know. I wasn't ready for it. If you told me again later, I'll remember. I'll forget this joke later, and then you can tell me again later, and I'll laugh hysterically. It'll be perfect. You're gonna have the greatest time. You're gonna be like, wow, I am so witty. Or Atlanta is so witty in this case.
Really, okay, here's how you play Yorick. You press his buttons, and then you press R and target a dude, preferably an AD carry in team fights. And you've learned Yorick. He's very easy to learn. He's kind of a running joke just because he's. Okay, that was a Darius pick in the end. He's simple.
Oh, the Evelyn was a. Oh, so wait, are they maybe jungling
Pantheon?
Wow. So this is really interesting because this is now a complete change up here, and the Yorick pick actually works out really well. So this is it's kind of a nice situation for them to have Yorick because Yorick can lane safely against Darius, can push early advantages, and then the jungle Pantheon, you still get the same aggression that you would get in the top lane. You get it a little bit more frequently because you can gank safely and not feel like you're putting yourself completely behind like they had in the past. But yeah, that's going to be exciting. I'm definitely excited to see it. The mid lane in particular, the ult on the mid lane on Cassiopeia with Annie for the follow-up. Annie flash in with the Tibbers and then just insta-killer could be really devastating. Yeah, so this is going to be exciting. I'll actually move over to Champ Select because that Evelyn was a Darius, so no more Evelyn.
So I like the pick. I like the Darius pick because, as you mentioned, the Pantheon aggression is going to be very easy to put out. But Darius can actually snowball against Yorick. So Yorick does have a few problems with some champions. Usually the really high, really bursty characters. So if you can get Yorick down one or two combos, then that's going to be a huge deal, and Yorick has to be cautious. He can't just sustain, can't spam his ghouls, because if he doesn't have the time to spam it, what use is it? So it's actually a good pick in the sense that if they can make it work, it will work really well. If not, it's going to be Yorick versus Darius, and the lack of sustain on Darius is going to be a huge hindrance. But it all depends on really the Nick Wu, how he goes about the lanes, where Atlanta shows up, and when they show up. We're going to have, a lot of 2 versus 2 fights in the top lane. At least that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, no, it's the jungle pressure from them potentially is very strong, but I don't know. I definitely it should be an interesting top lane because Yorick will win the early levels, and then a nice thing against Darius is champions with sustain. You can keep yourself high enough where Yorick can't necessarily burst you down from 100 to 0 sometimes. Because of the chase potential that he has, he should be able to. Yorick doesn't have any hard CC to get himself out of there, any kiting potential like a champion like Aurelia maybe does. So we'll see. I mean, that once Darius snowballs, the lane is just over. Like, there's no way to come back against a Darius. But because they have, Cassiopeia in particular, they have this tanky lineup with Shyvana, Yorick, and Blitzcrank, and then all of the AoE damage with Cassiopeia and Corki. They can just melt face when Darius is trying to get into these fights. So that's going to be a serious concern for Chuuper's Troopers later on.
Now, neither team has the best initiation. There is the Tibbers Bomb, of course, from Annie, and as well as Sona ult to follow up. We also have Cassiopeia's ultimate and the possible Blitzcrank grabs. So really, both teams actually have amazing AoE. So you don't think about it, but Darius, his Qs are really strong AoE. You can really follow up the Sona and Annie damage quite a bit. And of course, Ezreal ultimate. Same time from Team Dynamic, they have Corki's rockets. They have the plane flying above me. They have Cassiopeia's ultimate. They have even Shyvana's burnout is really good AoE. So both teams have a lot of potential AoE damage. It's going to be about getting a good catch-off, being the one to start the fight, which Team Dynamic has Blitzcrank, which is, of course, a major advantage for that. But at the same time, it's not quite that reliable. Mm-hmm. And on Chuuper's Troopers, they have Anti-Bomb. So that's going to be awesome for them.
Yeah, I feel like because they don't have a means of forcing initiation as easily, and they're going against a Sona that allows for that initiation, but also kiting potential for Chuuper's Troopers, that it means that Dynamic, they need to kind of be ahead through the mid game in order to be able to push objectives. Their late game is very strong. They can always pressure the late game with the Corki and the Cassiopeia, but just because they don't have a great means of forcing the initiation other than Blitzcrank, that might be kind of difficult. Just let me know when the air raid siren goes off, though. If that's a military plane or anything, we'll feel free to pause the game. We'll be like, oh, okay, we'll pause for a second here, studio, and then after the bombs are over, you can come back.
When I lived in Berkeley, I'd say Wednesday, there was like a Wednesday of the month, every month, where they would test the nuclear siren warnings for the campus. So if you live close enough to campus at like 9 a.m., you just be like, oh, I'm waking up because we're scared of the commies bombing us.
Oh, dear God, not those commies.
The last commies bombing Berkeley, the #1 target of communists. It'd be weird to bomb that city because it's still liberal. Like, there are quite a few communists living there, actually.
It would also be
hard to say.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I can't. I feel like the distance would be too long. I'm not sure.
In a rowboat.
Well, I'm not sure where during the Cold War they would have bombed Berkeley from.
If you believe propaganda, then the sleeper cells inside America would have done it themselves, just from down the street.
Oh, you mean Stanford?
Stanford. Oh. They should have nuked. No, please don't nuke Stanford. they're okay.
I was just talking. Oh, I said that because I was talking with someone earlier who was joking about how Berkeley hates Stanford, and so when you were talking about the Soviet splinter cells, I was just never mind.
They're red in Stanford. It makes sense.
Yeah. So there is that. Regardless, here we go. We're in the game. It's frozen for a second. It'll be fine. We'll be back in a second. And guess what? I have the overlay up. So there you go. Dynamic.
Right teams.
Dynamic versus Chuuper. What did you say?
Is the right teams?
These are the right teams.
Okay.
I have the. I should just leave up the Nick Allen is handsome overlay all the time. Instead of our IGN IPL in the bottom right corner, we'll just put his face.
Make it a GIF with like 10,000 frames. Just one frame, like the 10,000 frames, just shows Nick Allen's face for a second.
Actually, from now on, whenever there's a pentakill, we need to get an overlay that it splashes across the center of the screen, his face, and it's just like
instantly bursted. Pixel being chased out.
I'm not there, so stop. I'll get there in a second. I'll get there in a second. You hold on a second.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Well.
All right, team fight. Paradoxical getting bursted. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll be there in a second. Hopefully the game catches up. And they're actually walking right into the bush. Wow, the quick AoE damage, just completely ready for it. So really nice job from Chuuper's Troopers. And now I've stolen all of your thunder. Annie with the flash over the wall picks up the kill into Zig. They're still chasing him down. Pixel very close to going down. Sorry, my game was frozen in the beginning and it just came up.
Oh, are you at the 1 minute 30 second, or like 33
No,
second
I'm
mark?
not yet. I'm almost there. Now
Okay,
I'm there.
okay.
All
So
right, we're
gonna
live.
catch up, but yeah. Unfortunately, like once again, I can't be like looking over to the left
Not
and
yet.
be like, oh man, I can't say anything yet. Unfortunately, at least the graphics card is working tonight.
It is working tonight. That was really bad for anyone who saw that. It was a nice evening. Not, you know, an issue with League of Legends or obviously Riot Games' fine product. It was, yeah, our graphics card died in the middle of a cast. But the quick 2-0 advantage, Darius with those 2 kills. And now, you know, how is your Yorick now, Atlanta? How is your Yorick now, Studio, against a 2-0 Darius?
Well, let's watch Yorick Mori beat up Zion Spartan right now. Wow. There goes Zion Spartan's HP.
Yeah, there's almost 0 chance. Now, lane Yorick is pretty safe. He can, you know, sit there and farm. It is going to be an issue at early levels when he doesn't have mana, but actually starting off, with the mana potion so that he can constantly spam off those abilities. Atlanta peeking in. Nick Wu did catch him, so he does recognize he's up there, and he can play kind of defensively. He will have to back off, but Darius making his way down. Captain America trying for those kills will have to back off. So, I mean, Yorick can farm safely from a distance. Once he gets the tier in particular, he's going to be fine. But Darius can just be so abusive right now, and they are setting up in the mid lane. Nick Wu will be able to get the stun. Judy Monica, the follow-up to get the pull, and so the quick kill. Nick Wu grabbing it 3-0 for Chuuper's Troopers.
I like how Judy Monica at the last second just used her nuke on a creep because they knew she was going to die. So this is an amazing start for Chuuper's Troopers. 1600
Oh,
gold.
but the pull from
gets pulled into
Pixel.
bot lane.
Oh, Chuuper was so low, but Zig not quite able to capitalize on it. So they are pretty low, but Sona has the heal. They can back off.
So I gotta say, this is the best start. This is literally the best start. Actually, Zion Spartan getting really low in the top lane, taking a lot of auto attack harass and pulled back in by Darius. So he can use his goals to sustain, but he doesn't have that much mana at this point. That's why he has 2 mana potions in his inventory actually. So I mean, this is just the ultimate good start for Chuuper's Troopers.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it'd be, I don't know, kind of weird for me to say that this is exactly what you want to happen on a Snowball Champion, but that's exactly what you want to happen on a Snowball Champion. They do have the ward, though. Atlanta has to back off. They saw that Annie had actually left mid, and so Chuuper's Troopers able to push them off of the blue. They transition. They can pass this on to Judy Monica, so she's going to have that spam ability in that mid lane. And Annie is a very strong mid lane champion. Actually, Cass versus Annie is kind of an interesting matchup because they both have the burst damage to take each other down. Annie has a little bit more, instant burst with her ultimate, but Cassiopeia has the range on the harass to try and zone out Annie a little bit, not allow her to get in range to throw off her combo.
It's really 2 different types of playstyles with those characters. Like, Cassiopeia has to land a skill shot to start anything, really. Annie has to land anything, and her anythings are really easy to land, so Judy Monica with an advantage, like, you normally can't do as much with Annie. But if Judy Monica just has enough of an advantage, there's not much Cassiopeia can do. Her harass isn't going to be effective at stopping Annie from flashing and tibbers. That's not a good adverb. But, like, there's a lot Annie can do when she's ahead that you just can't dodge. Like, there's no avoidance in it. There is no counterplay.
Yeah, and Darius just going with the really fast cloth armor along with that Tabby. Has plenty of pressure in this bottom lane. Chuuper actually pushing the bottom into the turret, so that'll help open up opportunities for Pantheon. Dynamic, they can't get the wards that they need to. They know that Shyvana right now isn't the most aggressive jungler. Atlanta, he does have the exhaust, so he can follow up on ganks, but they have the long game lane with Sona. They're going to be fine, so they can just push Dynamic into the turret, deny some of that farm to Zig, and then be safe to get back. So nice job from them. I don't know. We'll have to see how they can Dynamic can pull themselves back into this game, because right now the only issue is really the top lane. But it's going to be very difficult for Zion Spartan to stabilize against Darius.
He's actually doing an okay job now.
Well,
It takes Darius down to half HP, but I'd say I'm actually almost more worried about Paradoxical in the mid lane, because Paradoxical does have Nasty Habit. When he falls a bit too far behind, he will keep dying as a result, just because he wants to get as much farm as possible and will maybe leave himself into a bit of a bad position. Nick Wu actually catches Zig out here, takes him down to half HP already with just 3 auto attacks and a nuke.
Yeah, and Pixel gets some
him
nice
down.
damage. Zig getting over the wall. Nick Wu is pretty low, but they'll have to back off. Judy Monica has control, only level 5 though. Sona coming up as well. Ezreal is here, so they will want to back off.
I mean, both teams actually really going out there. Judy Monica barely short, like 1 creep short of level 6. Had she gotten that experience, that would have been possibly, you know, at least 1 kill.
Oh, but Pixel almost going down. Nick Wu with the stun. Pixel gets the flash over, and actually Nick Wu following with his own flash. One more Q and an attack could maybe pick him up, but the hook back underneath the tower. The pop-up, Nick Wu almost going down. Zig, one more attack, is able to pick it up.
And as all this happened, Captain America just incredibly low in the top lane. So this might be the good turnaround that Team Dynamic needed. Only a 1,200 gold difference now, closing that gap. And of course, top lane.
Oh, but Judy Monica destroying Paradoxical with Tibbers.
And that's just the instant burst. That is what Paradoxical cannot avoid. There is no way to avoid it aside from just, you know, flashing or having a QSS.
Yeah,
so his flash was off cooldown, but you know, you have to predict an almost instant skill shot. And most people's reaction time, I'm pretty sure almost nobody's reaction time is that fast as Atlanta spikes Tibbers to get that 30 extra gold with the smite bonus.
Yeah, and like you talked about, Cassiopeia, Paradoxical so far behind right now, needs to just play very defensively and farm, can't allow Annie to continue to pressure her. So Paradoxical just needs to sit back, not, you know, even try and harass Annie, not try and go for those kills right now, and just farm into that mid game, since the rest of the team is, you know, doing a decent job. But oh, you were saying it, you know, Paradoxical has a nasty habit of falling, you know, really far behind when he starts off behind. It's better than his old nasty habit of giving up a lot of kills when he's ahead. So, you know, I guess I don't know exactly which one would be better. Nick Wu, in the meantime, chasing down Atlanta, gets the stun. Annie is here as well. Atlanta making the right turn, getting away from mid lane, and heading down bot, so he will be okay.
On the subject of Paradoxical giving up kills like that, there's a reason he almost rushes Zhonya's ring, or Zhonya's Hourglass on Morgana now. Used to be Deathcap first, but he changed that after IPL 4, and he died so much for really just the greedy item build in the end.
Yeah, I do remember that. There were a couple of games that they could have won, and he just would be instantly bursted down. They couldn't, you know, force fights underneath the turrets because they knew that if they did, he would go down. Darius pressuring mid again, though. They just want to snowball so hard, and they just won't allow him an opportunity to get back.
Troopers, we did see them play before. When they're behind, it is not a good situation for them. If they're too far behind, they definitely tend to just kind of keep running into the hand that's punching them. So if they stay ahead like this, they're in a great position just to keep snowballing. That's what they're good at. But like most new teams, if they start losing their advantage, it's very easy for them just to keep getting into bad engagements. Top lane, though, I mean, Darius at 61 CS versus Yorick's 55, and some of that is going to be ghouls for Captain America. So he's not really that far behind.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that Darius keeps on leaving lane rather than pressuring Zion Spartan. I think some of it is that even with the gold advantage, he recognizes that Yorick can abuse him with that ranged harass before Darius can kind of get in. But I think this is kind of about the point in time where Darius will stick around a little bit more. He has enough sustain. I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't gone for more damage to try and pick up kills, but Shyvana is sitting up in this top lane. Maybe try and you know, gank Darius a little bit here or chase him down with Yorick.
And with the exhaust on Shyvana, it's going to be very possible. They actually started this. The slows out from Yorick as well as the speed up, but he does just kind of walk out of there. The Atlanta will have to go ahead, go be a father figure in the background of the jungle some more, as Pantheon was actually up in the top lane, so that could have been a great turnaround for Troopers.
So what are your thoughts on the Darius build? Going with the regen as opposed, missing the hook. Nick Wu trying to get in here. Yorick gets some nice rest, so Captain America is very low. Going with the Vamp Scepter instead of going with, you know, just like some damage to try pick up the kills on Yorick. And then the armor versus magic resist against Yorick. Oh, but in the meantime...
Does get CC'd, almost bursted down. Don't have the space to actually finish on, but he walks back into them.
Yeah, and it does go down. Chuuper with a nice job there. Pixel actually running up, trying to get the kill on the Mr. Fissures, but the bait into the brush actually will be able to back off. The hook back, though, right over the corner, is able to pick up that kill. So what are your thoughts on Darius going back, getting armor instead of magic resist against Yorick, and then also going for sustain? Actually, now that he's finished a Wriggles, that's definitely going to be nice in that lane.
So the sustain is going to be huge, and he has a chance to instantly give any ghoul with that proc. It's very odd, though, to not get any magic resist, because what's Yorick's E going to do? Magic damage. And for the most part, it's actually magic damage from his skills. I believe his Q is physical.
Yeah, I actually just checked a second ago. It's all magic damage. The Q is physical, but it's an auto attack. And if Yorick's in auto attack range, then Darius has already won, basically. So, I don't know.
It's odd, and it's also weird because most of the damage coming out from Dynamic at this point in the game is going to be magical. With Corki does a lot of magic damage at this point, Paradoxical, and even Atlanta with his Burnout, which is going to be the main Shyvana damage source, is mostly magical. So it's kind of odd he's going so much for the physical defense.
Yeah, and I guess the idea is that he wanted to go with the Wriggles for the lane sustain, but maybe the Tabby was just because it's the cheapest boot option, and he wants to be running around getting kills.
That is definitely a reason Tabby's strong. And plus, I mean, what's really going to kill him in lane if he goes for a sustained fight is going to be the auto attacks, I guess. It's an interesting decision. I mean, it seems to be working out okay, so you can keep rolling with it. The Tibbers Bomb on the Paradoxical. Here comes Pantheon, and he does pull back Paradoxical that flash.
Yeah, so just instantly destroying Cassiopeia, and that's the pressure we were talking about with Pantheon. But honestly, Nick Wu almost didn't even need to be there, just helping out, getting the assist, or actually, did he actually pick up the kill? But regardless, Judy Monica just in complete control of this top lane. I'd be scared to imagine if he was playing Katarina right now and this far ahead, where instead of just insta-killing in a team fight, he's able to just snowball a team fight and pick up kills repeatedly with those cooldown refreshes.
I mean, Katarina is kind of like a broom. He would just literally sweep up the enemy team after they've been weakened a bit. But, I mean, mid tower getting pushed down just by Judy Monica with his auto attacks. The lanes, it's still actually about the same advantage we saw before from Chuuper's Trooper. So they're not making it grow that much, but they feel scarier in a way. And it's because mid-game they're going to have a lot more influence. Yorick does tend to fall off mid-game just because his ghouls aren't that effective. His ultimate isn't doing 75% damage. And it's kind of like just that weak point. Once he's level 16, he's amazing, of course. But they need to really push it at this point in the game. This is around the time when all their lanes will be the most effective, when they can really dominate the enemy team. The dragon plays should happen as soon as it respawns. They really want to take advantage right now.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Pantheon didn't go for Wriggles to that regards, because it would help speed up his jungle. It would help give them that dragon control when they're already ahead. But at the same time, these early kills, it's allowing him to get into his late build. He's going to be, pretty squishy to start off, but he has the damage now. Then he can transition into some tanking items and be pretty safe in those later fights, which is kind of an issue for Pantheon usually.
Mm-hmm. And with that safety, I mean, Pantheon's got some of the highest damage in the game, actually. Though he's only level 7, he has actually fairly low CS, only 48 CS, so he really has to get some experience at this point. Pantheon's amazing with his ganks, but the ganks will not get him to level 11 or so, for example. And eventually he's going to need just the raw HP you get from having a decent level on Pantheon.
And Dynamic actually pushing the bottom turret. They're actually going to go for this, so they have enough damage where they can be able to take this down. Shyvana's very fast with the auto attack reset. There's no one here to really defend this. Ezreal should be able to hold off with his ultimate, but they can try and bait them in since Annie is making their way down. The turret is very low, but they will have to back off. And if they try and pressure it again, they have to know by now that they have to get out of there, because Pantheon can engage from a distance. They will have to watch out for that.
Up in the top lane, actually, Zonspartan going fairly low. Captain America going to go for the kill. Does get the execute off. Zonspartan and try and chase him in response. Doesn't look like it'll be successful. In the bot lane, we do have actually Sona trying to defend of 1v3. Pixel tries to grab Nick Wu, barely misses it, and I mean, right now that turret, it looks like it will survive with 1 hit left. What is that? 4 HP.
Yeah, so it's almost down. And actually, really nice foresight from Pixel. It was a blind pull, so he had no idea that Nick Wu was there. Just kind of recognizing that there was the potential of that pressure. He didn't want to be walking up and attacking the turret and have someone just sitting there waiting to jump over the edge. So in the meantime, Chuuper's Troopers, 2k gold lead, they come up to pressure this dragon. Pixel drops the ward, but their team isn't necessarily in position to fight this.
We have all 5 members of Chuuper's Troopers here, only 4 from Team Dynamic. They have to get the Smite Seal or something, or just give it up. They do give it up, the safer option. Once again, gold lead, it's only gone to 3,000, so not too big of a lead. Part of it is the turret dying in the bot lane, but I mean, TD's doing a good job at staying at the same level.
Yeah, and actually Captain America going into an Aegis build. So I've honestly never seen Aegis before on Darius, but because they recognize they're going into a heavy AoE team, they already have a nice advantage. It does give him some damage, but it will also make them all incredibly tanky. And since Darius basically is just a tank anywhere, he's there for the snowball. But actually Pantheon coming onto Zion Spartan in the top lane, gets off the stun. Captain America, can he get the hook? He should be able to. There it is. So Zion Spartan doesn't really have a lot of options here. Will go down pretty quickly. I'm surprised he's not just turning on Nick Wu, but he doesn't have his ultimate, so he does go down.
I actually really like the Aegis pick onto a Darius. For the big reason is, who should get the Aegis on his team? Sona, Pantheon, or him? Pantheon's going to have enough trouble just, with the fact that he's underleveled in the jungle. Jungle Pantheon, not really a good farmer. And Sona is going to take a while. So it's a good mid-game item. Let's say that's when it's most effective. So they're picking it up early. They're going to use it at the best time you can normally use it. And it's going to have a much quicker effect than if Pantheon got it very late or if Sona got it very late. So it's a cool decision. I like the variance in the item build. I do think Darius is fine building tanky just because true damage ult OP. So they're not really in a bad position, even though it's a bit of a different item build that we normally see.
Yeah, and it is kind of that magic mark. Everyone used to talk about the 20-minute mark as being the key for the Aegis because you're going right into those mid-game fights. Captain America setting up mid, and just the gold value that you get out of it for those team fights early on is awesome. But Mr. Fisher with the ultimate, the quick burst from Chuuper, Sig almost going down immediately. Actually, Mr. Fisher trying to pick it up, but there's the Ignite, able to grab it, so they are able to force them out of there.
And you know what? Pot lane snowballing. Now they're up to about 4,000 gold. Now the lead is growing. That turret might go down the bot lane. So, I mean, right now this is when Chuuper is really starting to make the lead grow. Top lane again. Zion Spartan getting picked out again. It's still going to be enough from Captain America. No, because he hits the throw.
Yeah, almost going down himself. He will be very low, the Ignite, but he should be okay. Zion Spartan trying to chase him down. He could almost get him over the wall, but he will be okay. Actually, Shyvana chasing after Ezreal is able to pick up that kill. The hook back from Pixel is able to pick up Mr. Fisher's here, so he's going to go down shortly as well, but Pixel is pretty low, has to back off. Atlanta able to pick that up. And I'll actually take a look back. Ezreal and Sona pushing down the turret, and Atlanta just jumping right on top of them. So just coming in from the side here, and wow, actually having enough damage, just really quick burst damage. And Shyvana does have a lot of magic damage, so that worked out well for them. Oh, but the flash in from Judy Monica. I'm just about live now. The flash from Paradoxical able to get out of there. So I am live again, studio. There's your fair warning. So Paradoxical able to survive that one time.
Not the first time we've seen that tonight, which I find kind of funny, but I mean, that is a problem. There is a very brief cast time on Annie's ultimate. You actually normally want to engage with Incinerate, her W, just because that is instant. So yeah. Unfortunately, the cast time being just enough, but you know what, good flashes from both teams, and that you can't flash a Tibbers when it's back up again because you're gonna have flash on cooldown still. So Paradoxical still has to be cautious.
And part of the issue is that the ultimate gives you a little bit more range, but you're right, the W is instant. Captain America just abusing Zion Spartan at this point. And I kind of expected this to happen a little bit sooner, but now he has the damage for it. He is incredibly tanky as well. He has the regen to survive through that constant Yorick harass. So he's completely in control of that top lane. As a result, it pulls dynamic all over the place. And you see it right here as they're sending 3 people top, trying to just pressure Darius. He has the ward coverage. He's going to be okay. But because Darius is able to put so much pressure on this top lane, it opens up more opportunities for Judy Monica to destroy those smaller fights. It opens up opportunities for Pantheon as well to continue picking up kills in smaller team fights.
The spreading out is going to be huge too because all the timings are known for Troopers. They know when Dragon will be up, they can expect it. And of course Pantheon, it's like a Shen. If you can hang around your Dragon, pick it up if you see the enemy team out of position. If they do start a fight somewhere else, guess what? Press R, Grand Skyfall, man drop right onto somebody, and you can still change the tide of a fight.
Oh, but Captain America going after Zion Spartan. He is taking the turret though. He gets the ultimate off, is able to pick up the kill, but Zion Spartan almost able to grab it. The tower shots on Captain America, trying to get the slow, but Captain America gets the flash out. He's going to be fine. And actually, Chuuper chasing down Zig with the Arcane Shift, not quite able to pick it up. But Blitzcrank is coming around behind him. He's going to have to back out of there as well. So right now, 5k gold advantage for Troopers. They have 2 turrets down, just in complete control of the map. What does Dynamic really have to do to come back into this game? Or is it just a matter of holding off long enough for their AoE team comp?
They always have the option of holding on for the late game because late game with Yorick and Corki is just going to be devastating because of the ghosts you can make. They can start going for like some good picks with Blitzcrank, have him roam around the map as much as possible. But Corki versus Ezreal, right now Ezreal's just too far ahead. His burst will just obliterate Corki, so they have to find just some good opening to make something happen. I mean, they've sacrificed the top lane essentially, and I'm okay with that just because Yorick doesn't need the farm necessarily. So I mean, they're in a good spot just to let a few things go, but they have to start making big plays, possibly killing Judy Monica, who doesn't have that escape, but does have the burst. Like, if you get her CC'd, she will die.
Yeah, and the big thing is to take down Cassiopeia, but Atlanta, no! Oh dear God, the humanity of it all!
Sona, you will kill her.
Yeah.
You will kill her, Sona.
Nice easy hook.
Yes!
Not exactly the target he wants to get. The hook back from Darius actually able to chase down Pixel. He has the slow as well, but Zig is here, and they have the damage to take him down. The Ezreal ult coming back in. Plenty of damage. Darius grabs the kill. The Tibbers, a little bit of overkill, but able to take down Corki pretty easily. But Cassiopeia trying to pick up Captain America, and they just turn right onto her, pick up that kill as well.
Okay, that kill is entirely Paradox going, if I don't get this, well, you know what? I'm not worth that much gold. If I do get this, I get a kill.
And he did. He did get a kill.
They do take top lane in response. That was 1 for 3, though. I guess in the end, some of the characters weren't actually worth that much gold, but
he got a kill spree gold.
He did get the kill spree gold.
Yeah, but
Captain America 544. Not that bad of a trade, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, those 3 kills, like that's given up a lot, and now they push down mid turret as a response. 7,000 gold lead. Troopers are really trooping into a dominant pool. They're in a dominant position.
And
like,
now
more dominant.
Now Paradoxical's worth gold again. So Judy Monica can continue to farm him in that mid lane, just constantly farming those Cassiopeias. I mean, the big thing for Dynamic is if they can keep Cassiopeia and Corki alive in the back line, then they have the damage output where they can easily win fights. And they can kite Captain America some, even though he's far ahead. But the issue is that the initiation advantage is generally speaking with Troopers. So they can just sit back, wait until they have an opportunity to pick off Cassiopeia with Sona or with Annie, and then if they pick Cassiopeia, it's over. Like if they can insta-kill Cassiopeia in a fight, that's it. They've won that fight.
So something really interesting actually about the build from Nick Wu. Only 1 level is ultimate. He is level 11. He could have put it up to 2, but instead he decided to put the point into a spear shot. So the entire point of their team, it's dependent on Annie ultimate for a lot of it. So he doesn't actually need to reduce his cooldown that much, because if it does, Annie ultimate still has a really long cooldown, and it won't actually benefit it that much. Zig takes so much damage from just 1 disintegrate. Now imagine if like the combo hits him afterwards. He's going to be 100%ed almost instantly against Judy Monica. This is actually just devastating.
I'm surprised that Judy Monica didn't actually just throw off the WQ combo and just really quick burst him down.
If we had seen Zig get stunned without Valkyring, he would have died instantly. Like, Tibbers would have come down, Ignite would have come down.
Well, Tibbers was down at the time, so I think he would have been okay, but it still would have put him like out of the fight for a while. He would have been so low that he just couldn't do anything, and maybe Chuuper could force a fight afterwards.
They actually might have even been able to go for something like Baron. Like, they're in such a far ahead position, they can really just kind of control a Baron fight at this point, especially Captain America with almost 200 armor.
Yeah, so in the meantime, they are set up around their red. They're taking it. Dynamic actually trying to force this. The Blitzcrank hook, I'm not sure that they even want to fight that. There's only 3 of them there. York is way off to the side. The Cassiopeia ultimate has plenty of damage, but they have to back off. Ezreal almost easily crushing Paradoxical. Captain America up in the front. USA, Annie coming in as well. They have the damage. The hook from Captain America after the flash, jumping into the team. And Sona with the ultimate as well. They have the damage to follow it up. Shyvana jumping in the middle of the team. Judy Monica almost going down, but they can kite out Atlanta. He's able to pick up the kill into Pantheon, but the kite from Chuuper, and he's going to be fine. The Yorick ultimate does go down.
So 8,000 gold lead. They can now push down mid turret. They're not going to feel confident enough to do Baron, most likely. Yeah, they might actually not even push down mid turret, which don't know about that decision, but you know what? Who cares? Because their decisions have made them get this 8,000 gold lead. They're able to walk into the enemy turret, get Cassiopeia ultimated, and come out ahead. So their team, they've snowballed. This was a snowbally team. They're not dependent on AoE either, and they do have a good late game carry. They do have good Ezreal protection. So in the late game, just because of Yorick Ghost, there is an advantage for Team Dynamic, but that's going to be so far into the game. We're not going to see something happen where eventually the AoE doesn't work, because that's not how the team composition from Troopers works. So this is scary for Troopers. This is just, they're so close.
Didn't
Just
Darius
taking the
die in
game.
that last fight?
Huh?
Oh, the hook from Pixel. Unfortunately, he has to deal with Captain America. The hook back on the Paradoxical. They have plenty of damage. The quick kill. Was I confused? Did Pantheon die in the last fight and not Darius?
Darius did not die. He was really close to dying.
I thought he died for some reason, but then I looked down and I see he only has 1 death, so I just completely whiffed on that. But they do pressure this Baron very easily. Captain America holding the point. They'll be able to take this. With Cassiopeia down, there's no way they can fight this. So they'll be able to pick that up pretty easily.
I mean, they could try and engage it. I mean, they're not even getting close, though. They might go for a blitz pull, but that still would be suicide, especially if Pixel pulls in Judy Monica, who will just burst him down. Baron does go down. Troopers, here they are. They're in the spotlight. They can do what they want. They can just push like crazy. They don't have to worry about anything but a blitzcrank grab for initiation. So they will push safely. They are just in such a good position.
Yeah, and they are pushing mid. The Shurelius pops. Pantheon trying to get in the gauge. They'll just force them right off of the turret. So nice zoning from Troopers. They're able to push that. Pixel trying to get the hook. Can't quite grab it. They'll be able to back off. You know, I'm curious. At Atlanta, he's done a really nice job with this game. I mean, he's put on a lot of aggression. But one of the things that they failed at, Chuuper just had complete control of the early game, and that was one of the things that Nintendo was really strong at. He was, he was a really aggressive counter jungler, which would work perfectly against a jungler like Pantheon to, steal anything early. And then he was also really aggressive at ganking the lane. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how Dynamic compares over time, how we think they compare to the pre-Atlanta era and the post-Atlanta era.
Atlanta is interesting just because, back on MTW in a picture of a goose, he really had an odd dynamic with his team, just like how they played. They tend to go for very odd lane compositions that would win, and they would snowball from a very creative team. And that's not really the case with Team Dynamic. It's two very different synergies coming in. Unfortunately, I don't know if Nintendo Dex could have done anything really with the start they got, especially with Shyvana as a jungler. Shyvana's a good jungler, but the enemy team had such an advantage. Shyvana's not known for having good ganks, except for her, once every few minute exhaust gank.
Well, yeah, and to be clear, a 2-0 start is a 2-0 start regardless of who your jungler is. This game definitely not the most characteristic, because Atlanta's definitely done a nice job. He's been able to generally try and control the map, pick up a number of kills. I don't know. It's always kind of interesting though watching Dynamic, because that's going to be something to keep in mind. A lot of times you see a team change and you can immediately think, okay, I see how this is an upgrade. This is for the better. And the Atlanta one, it's a little more iffy. And like you said earlier, he does bring a lot of that sage advice with the team comps. He brings them a little bit more knowledge as far as that kind of coordination. But there was a kind of magical element to Nintendo's playstyle.
He is a beautiful teenager. I think he's 18, so if he's not 18, then whatever. I don't care about him. I think he's turned 18, though. Hope so. Troopers, the thing with Troopers were set. Oh, never mind. Watch this.
Yeah, Pantheon ulting right on top of them. Getting Paradoxical. He's able to get the flash out, though, but he goes down very quickly. The Sona ultimate, the Tibbers following it up. Troopers easily wins this fight. Darius actually flashing in for the last kill. Yorick is able to get out of there. The rest of them, they're kind of low, but they're able to just destroy Dynamic, and then they'll be able to take this turret. They'll be able to push in, get that inhibitor as well.
I would not be surprised to see a surrender come out from Team Dynamic if they just feel too far behind. This is the point in the game where a lot of teams are just like, well, we messed up here. How can we fix this? Down Spartan just getting stunned, going down, rest in peace. Yori. There is very little they can do at this point. The enemy team, they're so far ahead. We saw this. We've seen this before. We see it time and time again. It's a 6-24 kill advantage. I'm sorry, Team Dynamic. And they're just pushing down these turrets. They will respawn. They do have a chance. It's the next 3 seconds. Here's your big play. And Pixel misses the hook. Don't think it would have mattered in the end. Good game. That was a hell of a way to start that last fight. Ulting in his pants into the entire enemy team, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean that's the nice thing with Pantheon. He's kind of similar to Gangplank in the fact that you can force that long range fight. In every other regard, he's not like Gangplank at all. Just the one regard, but I don't know. I actually really like that when they changed Pantheon a while back, and they made his ultimate. It used to have such a long activation cost, but now it's a lot more like Fiddlestick's ultimate. You can actually use it in fights. You don't have to worry about the fact that it's a 5-second casting time. But regardless, there you go. Dynamic going down game number 1. Troopers 10-1-9 on Captain America, 6-0-10 on Judy Monica. Just really impressive play all around.
USA.
USA.
USA. I'm gonna be shouting that for the Olympics, man.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm excited. Opening ceremony was today.
Did not watch it.
I didn't watch it either. I was talking with someone, and they were like, I didn't want to watch the opening ceremony until I found out it wasn't being streamed, and I couldn't watch it. And then I was dying. I had to watch it. He couldn't have the candy, so he needed it.
Oh, of course. One quick note, Nintendo X actually just messaged me. His birthday's in 20 minutes.
Oh, hey, happy birthday, Nintendo Dex. In 20 minutes. What?
Just like... That would have been better in person, I think, because I was doing some hand motions to go along with it. But now that just sounded very erotic, which maybe it's what I'm going for.
Was that what you were going for? Is he turning 18? Is he turning 18?
Yeah.
Oh, you're terrible.
That's not what I was going for. Let's just say it was.
You should feel ashamed.
Don't worry, Nintendo.
That's a bad joke. Let's not repeat that joke ever again. Thanks, guys. We'll be right back with commercial break. We'll be into game number 2. We'll be into game number 2, Dynamic versus Troopers in a second. Thanks, guys.